Oh, you're not recording audio? What? What kind of YouTuber are you?
Hi, I'm Chance Hayes, a junior at College Place High School, and I don't like long, drawn-out intros, so all I have to say is that I made a documentary about drifting and drifting in College Place, and this is it, I guess. You obviously have some expertise in this field. I mean, you started, or you were one of the people who started this whole moving.
Well, I didn't start it all. It just sort of happened. It's not like you woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to build racetracks. You know, you just like, I want to play with a car, and then you do something more afterwards, and then you do something more again.
So you kind of just wanted to do it for fun. It ended up becoming what it is now.
I mean, you have Excelsior, like, you know, you do things to it. You know, you just, one thing becomes, it's like, when you got the car, you didn't think it was going to change your life, and maybe it hasn't. But for me, my car did, so it's just a little different.
And so, when did you start getting into like drifting and stuff?
Drifting didn't happen until I autocrossed for 2 years, and then I went drag racing, and then I got a job at a drag racing shop. I went autocrossing, got a job at a drag racing shop for Volkswagens, making like $7 an hour back then, and built a drag racing Beetle, and then went to a drift event with a friend and was like, oh, this looks fucking sweet, because, you know, like, you drag racing, you make 4 passes in the day, and you sit around and listen to old guys tell stories about how badass they used to be. And with drifting, it was all like, you know, like, it's cool. So I was like, I really vibe with that more laid back environment.
Definitely. So you said your first car was a Honda Civic, and so what was your first drift car?
First drift car was a Corolla. I watched Initial D. Inca,
Just you and I, we gotta fly. Baby, this power. I gotta stay up the night.
Watched Initial D, saw the Corolla was cool, saw that like you couldn't tell what it was. Got on the forums, found out that because I searched Initial D car, it was called an AE86, and I typed that into Craigslist. And there just happened to be a guy in Tri-Cities, like an hour away, who had one with a blown-up motor. Went and bought it for $500. Perfectly straight, silver hatch, SR5, but still, like, it was an 85 and straight as an arrow, $500 car. Like, you know, kind of hilarious by today's standard. Like, this was a complete interior car with an engine that it spun a camshaft or something. Something was wrong with the cam. So I bought that for $500, brought it home, and immediately pulled the motor out because I thought I was going to build a race car. And 2 years later, it drove. And I drove that car for a little while. I don't remember how long. Blew it up a million times.
What about the track?
Track is the same thing that's happened if you meet anyone who goes racing. Every guy in the world has said, I'm going to build my own racetrack. Everybody says it. I said it years ago, back in like 2012, I was saying shit like that. It was just a perfect storm of scenario. We built cars, they got cool, the internet got excited, and so all of a sudden there was like people who were excited about things we were excited about, and so all of a sudden, you know, when the internet is excited about what you're doing, it's so much easier to convince yourself something's a good idea, because if 500 people on the internet give you a thumbs up going, yeah, that's so cool, I'll come play, you know, all of a sudden you've completely deluded yourself that this works. And so that delusion caused me to make some decisions to try and build a racetrack. And we failed halfway through, and then we didn't fail. It's a long story.
I know, and you know what that track is kind of based on, or why it looks the way it is, but
yeah.
Why is it the kind of shape and route it is?
So it's a replica of a track in Japan. We saw videos, I mean, back in, like, again, 2006, 2007, 2008, there were videos of a team in Japan called Team Burst, And these guys, they were good. They had one driver who was specifically Down syndrome is fuck level of driver. Like the guy is just like special. A very talented driver, does wild things. Like you go to a drift event with this dude and he'll like take the fan off his car to like give it to someone else to drive because their car's broken, and then he'll just drive his car without a fan. Like he's special. Anyways, that kind of driving was really exciting to watch back in the day, and so the track kind of got this special sauce or something. I don't know how to explain it. You know, you want to experience that, but you can't afford to go to Japan and buy a car. You know, it's a poor people's sport, so you build your own. Like that made sense. So yeah, we built our own track because we saw what they were doing and we thought we could replicate it. Turns out, it wasn't that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they do is very special. Okay, I got 2 cars here. The same car, probably the most popular car in drifting, the 240.
The Nissan 240 SX. It's a lot of sports car, but you can handle it.
Ooh, a 240 race rocket of the Honda world, or sorry, drifting world. We got 2 of them. One's all low and scanty. You know, eBay parts everywhere. He probably spent less than $5,000 to have this car. You know, well, maybe a little bit more than that, but like, you can kind of tell like a young guy with not a lot of money owns this car, and it looks cool. Like it's super low, and you know, he's got big shiny wheels on it, and a stock motor, and he has fun. You know, he drives, you know, every event, and he probably gets 100 laps, maybe 150 laps out of it. And the next car is ridiculous, like $50,000 car, you know, full of crap and junk everywhere, and a huge V8, you know, makes 700 horsepower, pro-charged, you know, ethanol, E85, you know, just ridiculous. And you know, this thing's meant to win championships, or at least the guy who built it thought it would win championships. Now it's just crashed and ruined because the guy who built it had lots of builder skill and not a lot of driver skill. Huge tires and super tall and roll cage and carbon fiber doors because, you know, they literally weigh nothing. And like huge radiator in the back. Well, this is something weird. Like most car people have never seen this before. The radiator's in the back. Because, you know, I don't know.
So you mentioned before that you started making parts for these cars.
Yeah.
To make them able to drift better.
Yeah.
Than just.
Yep. Than stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you do that, and what parts do you make to be able to do that?
So if you have one of these, the 2 things that you can buy coilovers anywhere, that's easy. Back in the day, you used to not be able to just buy angle, like you couldn't make the wheels go farther, and so we would just cut and weld the knuckles. And back in the day, you know, this 2008, 2009, you know, there wasn't kits available, so I started making kits and selling them online. Now there's lots of kits available. You can just totally buy them, but there are still some people who pay me to make it for them still. So that's kind of how it all works. You know, we make parts for people who want to, you know, progress their car and have a bit of fun and, you know, either reliability or just function, that sort of stuff. We don't do a lot of like dress up or like mufflers. You know, we don't do any of that sort of stuff. And we don't work on customer cars. We just sell parts online. That's all we do.
So let's go over to the office. See what we can.
Oh, you want to look at parts?
Look at parts, yeah.
I'll look at parts. All the parts. Like, here's something that's going to go out tomorrow. Maybe ship it. Oh, look at this broken transmission. You know, here's one of the things we do. We just take parts and change them a little bit. People seem to like that. And then, yeah, you end up with a stack of random crap that people get excited for. That's how you make a living sometimes. 2 shelves and a room with a welder, I guess. I don't know. You know, it's not... Like I said, everything was by accident, you know, and it was never the intent to do any of this. It's just one of those things where, you know, One day you're like, I need one of these. And before you know it, all of a sudden you got 3 friends going, well, I want one too. And you're like, all right, fuck, I'll make you one. And then 3 friends turns into 50 people on the internet, and next thing you know, you have a job. So
you became a fairly well-known name in the drift community by accident.
that happens to everybody, though. To be honest, like so many people, make it by accident. You can't be prepared for everything, and the reality is like, yeah, like it's half of the good things that happen in your life were a mistake to start with. You were just like, I was at a party one night, and lo and behold, here's my life now. And who knows? It's just this way things are. You make some mistakes, and sometimes they work. So it's hardly not interesting. I mean, it's just is what it is. It's not like it's world changing or something. It'd be cool if it was.
I got the flame glasses on and shit.
All right, I'm here with Kyoki Zigley, founding member of Houseboat Boys. And I just want to know, how did drifting shape your life or change your life in any way?
Well, for me, drifting was just kind of the next thing after skateboarding and BMX, and it's just you get a car and you still have that same mentality. So all of my best friends that I grew up doing that with, they also got into the sport, and so it's basically been the same since I was young. Like, just all of us best homies just driving together, having a good time, that same mentality. And at this point, I've met some of the greatest people in my life through drifting, and some of the best friends you could ever ask for. And yeah, it's been a trip.
How old were you when you started kind of getting into drifting?
I was in high school. I think probably around 17, 18 years old is when I first met Nate, who actually did it. I knew what the sport was at the time, but I had never met anyone that actually made track events or street drifted or anything. Dumb kids that did donuts in a parking lot or something, but not actual drifting. And I was at a car meet, and my brother had a Trans Am, and I remember he pulled up in an 8086, and we knew what the car was, and he was like, oh, got all excited that we knew what it was. And then he had our other buddy, Jason Cowles, take us for a rip in it, and that was the first time that I'd ever been in an actual drift car, and I was hooked instantly.
This is Kanala Zigley, co-founding member of Houseboat Boys. I just want to know, how has drifting changed your life?
Like you couldn't make the wheels go farther.
It's ruined it. I'm broke all the time now, but I got a cool looking car, so I mean, that's sweet. But at the same time, I wouldn't regret it for anything. I have a lot of fun with it and with all my buddies. So, I mean, yeah, drifting's awesome. You can't put anyone in the passenger seat that's never done it before and have them be like, oh man, I don't like this. It's like, no, everyone has a blast with it. It's like the most fun thing you can do in a car. So, hell yeah.
And with that, my documentary is coming to a close. I know it's not the longest and most in-depth documentary you've probably ever seen, but I thought I did a good job, and I hope that translated through my work. And so I guess I'll just leave you guys to watch some great footage filmed by JW Media and kind of give you an insight of what it looks like to be at our track.